Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to Tallahassee.
Mercy if y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give it a go. This Shelly, you pretty girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets after buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We getting buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Buckets. I'm Matt. He is Vish. It feels so weird just pointing to him and he's next to me. She is Melissa. How are we doing, guys? Vish, I'm going to ask you first since I'm sitting right next to you.
I mean, we spent the evening together, so thank you.
Pause.
We're actively watching PJ Hall play basketball and get whipped by Quentin Post, so that's nice. Boston College is up 14.
I love it.
In the should have been us game, if we just, if we got on a 20-0 run there in the last few minutes, we would have been right in this game.
I might make a Boston College burner and start trolling PJ Hall's mom.
Okay, let's not do that. So unfortunately, we have to concede defeat. We got the first salvo in there with the Norchad wave, but the team did not do us well here. PJ Hall's mom won that round.
Yeah, honestly, it was just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
It's been a rough year, guys.
It has, and we did. Matt and I did wrap up the game from yesterday and kind of tried to mostly successfully avoid talking about season,
yeah,
like overall things and next year stuff.
Most of the stuff we said we're like we'll get into it tomorrow. Yeah, it was more what we.
So
and if you're wondering, Vish already said it off air. I wasn't shaving until we won a game. So it looks
that's
like
what you were doing. I think you were just growing your beard out to see what.
It was. I'm just joking.
No.
I was gonna say it looks like I'm not shaving until next season.
I mean, the women matter.
Kane's Cat's Heat is apparently reading previous posts on previous lives.
Shout out to Dan Barry. I'm going to get to Kane's Cat's Heat in a second. Shout out to Dan Barry. I think you want the Heat stream. That's also live on 5 Reasons right now. That's not us. And then we're going to talk about Portal stuff. Max, hold your horses there.
I think he's embarrassed about the comment.
Yeah, no, about the comments he made.
Max texted me about an interesting player we'll talk about.
I'm not ready for that yet. But anyway,
I didn't have a chance to look him up yet.
Too soon, man. Too soon. Kane's Cat Heat, we all said some stuff throughout the season.
What he's setting
Vish in the offseason said we were the best team in the ACC. So
I thought Kane's Cat's Heat was talking about what he said about Louisville and Notre Dame.
Look, we've all said some stuff over the season. All I'll say is this.
Yeah, no.
But I talked about this last night. So we can all look back at our stuff, and as Melissa said, I said we were the best team in the ACC. I don't think the two of you were that far off of that.
Of what?
But of saying we were the best team in the ACC.
Of me saying that?
No, I said it like explicitly. I don't know if both of you explicitly.
I think I said third.
But I mean, we all had us definitely like getting a double bye. But but just to put things in perspective, right? This was not a situation where if we were predicting the football team was going to win the Natty. like we're not the ones who voted the Canes to finish second in the ACC. That was the ACC media. And we're not the ones who ranked us 7th going into the Kentucky game. That was the national voting people. So, like, yeah, in hindsight, we all look like idiots. Given that right now we're clearly the worst team in the ACC by the end of the year. Like, if there was like 10 more games, we would have finished behind Louisville. But you know, it wasn't just. It was literally everyone had us as a top 15, top 10 team and a threat to make the Final Four again. It wasn't just us. We just yeah, but I mean, again, from a certain point of view, if we had stayed healthy, so I don't think we've ever really had a very deep team. Because even the one that, you know, the 2013 team was probably one of our deeper ones. All you were getting off the bench was Reggie Johnson and Ryan Brown, really. Like, you weren't really like looking to anyone else to really contribute. So, I mean, I don't think we've ever
got 2 minutes.
Not important ones. Because you wouldn't put him in front of put him out there instead of Reggie Johnson or Julian Gamble. He got minutes when Reggie Johnson was injured.
Yeah.
But like, I don't even think that comment. It turns out to look silly when everyone gets injured. But had you had our 6 best players who were clearly like a step above everyone's healthy the whole year, and then you're able to develop roles for the other guys instead of forcing them to start. You know, maybe you do develop some of that depth. We saw Nwoko come on. What if he had like a defined role? You know, he might have been functional instead of what we saw yesterday, which was a disaster.
I don't think we would have been as good as last year, but I think health would have at least made us respectable.
Well, I think the other thing is, and this is kind of an unknown coming into the year, but this team could not take a punch at all. And, you know, last year we could take punches. And basically, when things went bad, we folded time and again.
Mm-hmm.
We folded on the season.
Kane's got teeth. Stop. Just don't torture yourself, bro. I would have loved
Your
to.
coaching abilities.
I mean, a lot of people were saying that this is.
Yeah, no,
the
I mean,
best
this is
bench.
not.
This isn't just
unique.
you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not. I mean, again, it wasn't just Miami people. It was
Yeah.
nationally. Like, again, we were favored to go in there and handle Kentucky quite easily.
Yeah. No, it was on a national
Yeah,
scale
like,
too. 'cause
I
I
remember-
Me and
remember.
Vish drove
I was
4 hours
listening-
from DC to see us play Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
No,
remember
but I mean, that
listening.
Kentucky
Like,
game, like I was telling you guys this because I was there. Like, that was a big game for Kentucky. Like, it's weird, right? Because they showed up early. They were loud. That place is juiced. I'd been in that arena. I've watched us play at Duke. I had never been in an arena with that much energy. Like, literally the first basket they made, I thought the roof was going to come off the place because it was like it was a huge game for them. And then you're looking up at the roof, and they have so many national championships. They don't have individual banners. They just have a banner that says
The list.
national championships with numbers on it for all the years. And like, this team is jacked up to play us. Like, it is what it is. We melted down and fell apart, but
I think we're all grateful it's the off season now. I'm not going to talk about lack of size.
we'll get into that. I do think there is some kernels of truth there, but I think we need to unpack that. And I think we're going to talk about
Lack of size in the backcourt, not the front.
Well, no, it is. I would say we'll get into this as we talk about kind of things we want to see for next year and changes and who we think is coming and going and all that kind of stuff. But I think there is some kernels of truth to that. However, I think the thing that most people say when they say lack of size is what they mean is we need like a 7-footer, and that's not true. But there are some issues.
You could say maybe we need more depth at the 5, but Norchad averaged a double-double this year, like basically.
But you're not going to get, again, I think we've talked about this a lot, but we're gonna this is one of the show topics that we're gonna unpack what we want to see going forward, because I think that's demonstrative. But like, I think we actually saw how badly, when we tried to play Norchad and Nwoko together for long stretches yesterday, how badly that worked.
Yep.
Because Nwoko just brought a big into the paint. And we had no defenders. There's a whole other thing going on there. We didn't defend the perimeter either. We couldn't defend. Nothing that we know officially. We know he was never healthy, but we're gonna get into we're gonna go through this team and and actually, why don't we do this? This is an exercise. Let's go player by player and give a prediction on whether or not we think the player will be back, and we'll evaluate their season. There's only a handful because we don't.
You want to go from bench to start?
Yeah, we'll start with the. Let's go.
Can I mention the first guy?
Yeah.
You want a name?
What's up?
Well, who do I want to start with? I'll say. Can I say a name?
Yeah, go for it.
Chris Watson.
Okay. So, well.
I just wanted to see Melissa.
Oh man, it didn't even do the double bird it.
Yeah.
Stop picking it up. Now you just look like you're sitting there.
Try it in front of the hoodie. I bet it works.
There's no fucking way that's that racist.
That's what was happening.
If you click the little camera icon and hit the reaction, it looks like the fingers aren't working for you. But anyway, so let's contextualize, right? So he was a guy that we thought would take a step when we talked about him in the preseason.
Yeah.
He obviously did not. And we actually thought, maybe he'll start because we did. I think one thing we all thought, and Melissa mentioned this earlier when we mentioned size, that we needed a bigger backcourt than the one we had, which we'll get into as we talked about Bensley and Nigel.
I mean, eventually we did get the bigger backcourt, but
I mean, yesterday at one point, I think we were playing Keyshawn at the two because we had had Joe Bay and Keyshawn and Nwoko and Norton.
I mean, no, I think I said it in the offseason. I was expecting Watson to take a big jump. That was Keyshawn ended up playing that role, but I thought it was going to be Watson.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of the role that Keyshawn really started the season with, is what we thought Watson would have.
Yeah.
And obviously he just didn't perform. And I think it's pretty telling then that Wooga, Nigel, Matthew, Keyshawn, these are all wing players that missed time, and he was never the answer.
Yeah. I'm with you, Canes Cats Heat.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming
I think for sure. Actually, I did talk about this. I know Melissa probably had a chance to rewatch the show, but she always does, but might not have gotten to it yet. So actually, I did notice because we were there at the end of the game when we were lining up for the handshake line. Jakai did give both Chris Watson and another player we're about to get to, AJ Casey, massive hugs. Okay, it's the last time we're playing together. And I don't think it's because Jakai is I don't know, transferring to UConn. I'm pretty sure he's staying. So
all programs.
So I think they I went for the obvious, he's not going to get a better program than Miami. That's why I went UConn.
No, I mean, I think we can all agree we expected bigger seasons from Casey and Watson. We thought they would take a jump this year, and they haven't. I mean, in my eyes, it's pretty obvious that they're going to transfer. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's what I was kind of getting at.
Those two for me are obvious, they're gonna go.
And that's what I was kind of getting at, the way Jakai was hugging them, this is the last time we're gonna see them. He's gonna play with them. Those are as much as we become these are humans, right? So those are his friends, and he's not gonna play with them anymore. It's the way I viewed that.
Yeah.
Because even though those two haven't really played a lot lately, they still, they practice together, they travel together. They're friends, and so I think that's the way I viewed that. And I mean, Canes Guy Heat, you want to talk about embarrassing comments? You should see the three of us after the summer tour talking about AJ Casey because whoa, buddy,
he looked really good. He looked really good.
He was lighting it up where he took that step.
He had games where he put up 20 and 10.
No, he had us talking about him playing the 4, that way he can move Matthew to his natural position, the 3. And have that, have obviously then Wooga and Nigel starting. So yeah, he was a huge disappointment, and I would say especially so given that, he not unlike Chris Watson never really, frankly, materialized. I thought at parts of this year, especially early on, AJ Casey looked like he was finally making strides, he actually was. We always go back to this. I think it was before the Clemson game, maybe right after the one that we won. Where Coach L said, I have, I've got my 6 guys, and then he's got 5 starters. And at this point, Bensley was still starting. Then Keyshawn and AJ Casey off the bench.
Yeah.
And that was his 7-man. And boy, did Casey fall off from there, to the point that, Joe Bay was getting.
I mean, him and Watson haven't been playing games. They only played last night because of
We literally
well,
did not talk about Jobé in the offseason once.
Well, see, this is why we're professionals.
It
You
was
see, everyone
literally
questions
it
our
was just like
professionalism. Look at these
he
seamless
was just a
transitions.
member of
I
the
mean,
team. No one thought he was gonna get significant minutes. Like
yeah. So I think for us, let's just to wrap up the previous two. I think we all think Watson and Casey are transferring, and we also think
should we address what Kane's Cat Teat said though?
they were huge.
About Casey or about Watson.
Yeah.
He said, "Would you bring him back?" I don't know where it is.
Yeah, here.
Oh, there it is.
would you bring him back?
You wanted to address it. Address it.
Oh, I mean, I just don't. Let me preface it with this: based on everything that's happened, him being completely out of the rotation, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think the writing's on the wall that he's kind of out. But I mean, if that's not the case, I would bring him back. Because I still do think there is potential there.
I think he could be a defensive.
I would bring him back over AJ Casey.
Yeah, no, because he can play defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I did. This was a topic that came up on the last show all of us were doing together, or maybe it was just me and you when we talked about how we had empty scholarships. It was
me and you.
Yeah. I looked around, and most teams have several empty scholarships. I think it's just the nature of the portal. These guys leave, and then you don't really want to bring in crap players, and so you end up just leaving the spots open. And I don't. I think it's just a new normal that you're not going to have full rosters. Because what are you going to do to fill those like at the 11th hour?
Yeah, I mean,
because we were trying to remember.
Worse for us because of all the injuries. And
yeah, because Matt and I actually talked about this. Remember, we had Cam Spencer in very late in the process.
Yeah.
Now he decides to go somewhere else. Do you then reach for a random person? No.
Yeah, we thought Cam Spencer was coming here.
Yeah.
Well, like the last second.
I'll just say this, Colin. If Watson is actually like, I would bring him back for like practice depth. If we're not able to upgrade over that, and you're expecting him to actually play, we have a big problem. But I think what you're saying is kind of like, yeah, I mean, if he leaves, we're probably not replacing him. It's probably one of your empty scholarships because we do have 3 really good freshmen coming in, which we'll talk about. We start talking about next season. But so those are 3 scholarships, and he's probably an empty one. So anyway, Jobé, you mentioned him, Melissa. He's next up on the list. But I guess from a standpoint, just real quick, let's do this to wrap up the last. So A to F, how would you grade Chris Watson's season based on expectations, not based on?
Oh, based on expectations?
Yeah, not like not like F because he's not Nigel or something. Like A to F, like based on expectations.
I mean, he was been unplayable.
But I thought
I'd give him like a C- or a D+.
Yeah, I'd say D. He was useful on defense, but.
So this is where I would actually give him a C because I do put some of this on Coach L a little bit in terms of not giving consistency. Because remember, the last game we went to, when we almost came back and won that Georgia Tech game, he played the end of that game instead of Norchad. We benched Norchad, put him in. He defended really well.
Yeah, we did the 5-guard.
Yeah, and we almost came back and won, and then he never played again. And it's hard. It's hard.
My expectations at the beginning of the season for him
That's
and
true.
what ended up
That's
being,
true.
it's a D for me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Like we had higher hopes. Okay, what about AJ Casey?
I think it's worse.
I think it's a D-.
I think it's a D- or F, to be honest.
I don't
see in any way how he contributed on the floor.
And he got up. I think the reason I gave Watson a little grace period because
he actually understands the defensive rotations.
Yeah,
AJ Casey, there was many times he got lost. AJ Casey can't do anything on the offensive side of the floor. I know Chris Watson had his struggles as well, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with AJ Casey is unlike Watson, there was a point in time where coach was trying to get him consistent minutes in a role. And it was so bad he had to just put Nowoko in before Nowoko was ready.
Yeah.
And I don't think Watson's at a position where we have several really good players in front of him. AJ Casey was not. And yet he still couldn't crack it. So yeah, I'd go D-.
Yeah.
All right, Jobé. So as Melissa said, actually, I still remember this from Coach L's introductory press conference this year. It was the one where he had like laryngitis and couldn't really talk. When he was talking about Jobé, he said he's really raw. He cannot play this year. He's not ready yet. It's going to multi-year project. From that to getting some. I mean, again, he's another. All of our bench players did suffer from wildly inconsistent minutes. Like it'd be all of a sudden the guy's in there, and then the next time he's in the witness protection program, we don't see him for 3 games. Then he's in there again, and I think Jobé was a victim of that too. He definitely, got some consistent minutes in a couple of games that Matthew was out. Other than that, you had no idea if he was going to play 10, 15, or 0.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's really his fault. But yeah, I think I'm going to give him an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect him to do anything.
You think he stays?
Jobé?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Well,
I was gonna
that was
say-
the original thing. Is he staying or going? So
Yeah, and then we went to the grades.
yeah, so we can do
Oh,
both. So I think
sorry.
he's
I
staying.
forgot what I forgot.
I
the
think
show
he's
that I
staying,
introduced.
and I would give him a B because nobody thought he was going to get minutes this year,
Yeah.
and I don't think he was terrible. So I'll give him a B, and I think he stays.
I'll go A-.
I'll go B+. I'll meet kind of in the middle. I think what I liked from him, I mean, you saw the hustle. You saw a lot of him going for offensive rebounds. But you also saw some fresh mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold that completely against
Well,
him.
again, it's relative to our expectations.
Yeah. No, I know.
Before,
but there's
so,
still
yeah.
negatives, right?
Yeah,
Um,
no, for sure.
so-
I think there were multiple times where I'm like, who
What
told
the
him
hell
he's
are you
allowed
doing?
to shoot that? So
Yeah, but then he also made some too. He had some
Yeah, he had
corner
some
threes. I
threes,
don't know what his percentage was on the year. I'd like to look that up, but yeah, no, I'd go B+.
all right, Melissa, you had him in as a B, like a solid,
B.
like a straight B, and I have him
Yep.
as an A-. All right, so that's 3 down. Next up, let's do Jakai. Well,
Okay.
stay or go first.
Stay.
He's definitely
I think
staying,
he's
in my
staying.
opinion.
Yeah.
No one else is going to play him at a major conference school.
Do you want me to go with the grade?
Yeah, go
I'll
for
give
it.
I'll give him a B also. I wasn't expecting him to get a lot of minutes. I think he did decent considering the inconsistency. I
Yeah,
like his
no,
energy. I'll give him a B.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I think some of these guys coming off the bench too, they would be prone to making some really bad decisions. I don't think we ever, I think there were times where he got beat defensively, but I don't think it was, bad decision making and whatnot. I'll give him a B. Feels weird to give Jobé the same as him, but I'll do B.
I'm going to go, okay. It's a little complicated answer for me because I would say he contributed more than I would have expected. However, I never once felt like he earned the time he was on the court. There was never a time where he was on the court. I was like, good thing Jakai's out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to even do with that. He's
I mean,
not
it's not
sucking
his
himself
fault.
in. But
Yeah.
and I'm giving him a C. Just put him right in the average because I had no expectations of him, and frankly, like when he played, he didn't really meet. Who was it? It was a game I was watching. It was the Florida State game. He made a jumper, and this is some good context for what I'm talking about. He played a significant chunk of minutes down the stretch of the season, and they said that was his 4th basket in the ACC play. And I think that's why he, as Matt said, he wasn't an idiot, and I think that actually earned him playing time.
Yeah.
But
He also
Man.
got blown by a
yeah,
decent
and
amount in games
his,
too.
his lateral quickness defense was a little lacking, and he plays hard, obviously, which is great because everyone on the team did this year at all times. But he never really to me was earning the minutes that he was getting. And I never was like, whoa, this guy is carrying us and doing this or doing that. It was more just he's there. Okay. Like I said, they gave that set in the Florida State game. I was like, that's pretty bad considering how many minutes he played. And
I think the first time he got into a game, we were at it, and Vish turns to me. He's like, "Holy shit, Jakai's coming in."
well, yeah, and then this is not his fault, but then that was the UNC game at home.
Tell her about the Boston College moment too last night.
What where they put it? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second. So, because there's actually a parallel to this, and then towards the end of that game, we with under 5 timeout in a very close game at home against North Carolina, we put him in. He was a disaster at that end state. He should not have been on the court. Not his fault. We subbed Woog out. and put him in. It's like, what are you doing? And then last night we did the same. Actually, so when we got to the game was over-ish, but there was 3 minutes left, and it hit the under 4 timeout. We're down 14. And I jokingly said, turned to Matt and said, "Oh, now's the time I'm going to put Jakai in, ha." And then he actually did put him in. He benched Nigel and put him in with 3 minutes left in the game.
I wish you could have seen Vicious' face. It
I'm
would
just
have
like,
been a
what is this?
gift.
This is a troll job. Like, what are we doing?
It would have been a gift, Melissa. You missed it.
I mean, I was just like, wait, I was joking. I wasn't serious. And then I was like, well, I didn't realize who wasn't in. So I'm like, Matt, who's not in? Because we had all of our guards. Remember, we were actually healthy last night. So we had all of our guards. So I'm like, okay, we have 5 guards on this team that are way better than him. So which 2 are not in the game right now? And then he's like, Fish, Nigel's not in. And I look over at the bench, and he's sitting there with a towel on his head. I'm
You
like,
couldn't even see him because he was
I was
sitting
like-
next to someone tall. I
Yeah.
don't remember who it was.
I was like, you bench Nigel with 3 minutes left in the season, down 14. All right. That's a choice. Because I guess Jakai was going to bring question mark. He did hit a 3 with like 30 seconds left from all the backups on both teams.
Yeah, that was nice for him.
Yeah.
He also dropped Elliot Cadeau too when we played UNC. That was nice. He just didn't.
Well,
make
he
the
missed the
jumper.
shot though.
Yeah, because again, I had no fault. That's why I put him right in the middle at C. I wasn't expecting much. He played more than I thought, but I felt contribution-wise.
Hey, that's one of the best ISO moves we saw this season. Just saying.
Got to make the bucket, though. All right, who's next? So we got, in terms of
Nwoko.
backups, it's either Keyshawn or Nwoko.
I think we go Nwoko.
Nwoko. All right,
You go first.
stay or go. He's staying for sure.
Oh
He's
yeah.
staying.
Okay, and grades.
C minus. I had higher expectations for him this season than what
Yeah.
happened. I mean, I
So
don't
I'm gonna-
blame him as a freshman, but I did have higher expectations for him.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You go first because I'm thinking.
I'm going B plus because I actually had no expectations. I didn't think he could play. I didn't expect him to play. He really made a lot of strides to get onto the court. I thought AJ Casey was going to have to be the backup big. And as much as, AJ Casey kind of handed that position to Nwoko with his play, I thought a lot of it was Nwoko also taking it. I think he can do, by the end of the year, he could do certain things well. And once again, similar to where I saw with Jakai, Nwoko's not subbing himself into the game. The amount of minutes he played in the second half yesterday was an embarrassment. He should not have been on the court that entire time, but that's not his fault. When he plays, 16 minutes, plays main minutes as Wooga did, and has 2 field goal attempts, and they happen. One was a fast break alley-oop from Nigel, and the next one was a tip-in on the next possession when he got fouled and missed a free throw afterwards. And his entire stat line for 16 minutes was 2 field goals, those 2, 1 rebound. That rebound he tipped in, and 0 of 1 free throws. And he didn't make it. He didn't foul anyone. He didn't do anything else. And it did. It cost us a shot at getting back in the game in the second half because we subbed him in when we were making a run, and then they erased it and we left him on the court forever. That's not his fault though.
Yeah.
And if at the end of I think if we had actually properly rotated him in and out, if you're telling me like in September, hey, this is a guy that can come in and give you 5 to 8 minutes to spell Norchad over the course of a game, hey, I would have taken that immediately. So that's why I'm giving him a B plus.
All right. Similar to Vish, I didn't really have high or any expectations for him. I knew that he, being the only other true center, that he, was going to get some minutes. I think you saw more of the flashes, positive flashes towards the end of the season. You saw the improvement, but still there's still those moments of not understanding how to rotate on offense or, understanding how to defend the post and whatnot. I think that's going to come. I mean, he's a true freshman. I'm really debating. I'll go B minus.
Yeah, no, it's reasonable. And Nate's got some good comments in the chat here about, he's raw. He definitely is. It's tough to contribute, especially as a freshman. It's not like NBA.
And it's true about Casey's struggles as
Yeah,
well.
Casey struggled forcing to play more than he wanted, but not last night. Norchad was not in foul trouble. Actually, when Norchad was in foul trouble, we played him with 2 fouls. That's I would love to just be give me put put coach on a polygraph and ask him what the hell was going on with the subs in the second half. And why he felt like he had to leave Nwoko out there the entire second half, essentially.
Yeah.
But especially after he played Norchad through the 2 fouls the whole first half. But anyway, but Nate has a good point. So just for those that are joining the show a little bit late, what we're doing for grades is respect, like in relation to what our preseason expectations were
Of the player.
And that's why for someone like Nwoko, it's really hard because it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the expectations were. And then it's also really hard to rate his performance this year. So he's definitely a tough one to crack there. But yeah, just in case anyone joining the show late, we're not saying like that's his overall like in a vacuum rating. We're not voting for like MVP of the NCAA or something. It's literally just related to what we expect.
They're going to vary between us all because we all have different expectations of the player, right?
Yep. Speaking of which, this one's another tough one. Keyshawn.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
this
stay or
is tough
go.
for me and
You
Melissa.
stay or going.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I think he's leaving.
I think he's leaving.
Unless something happens to his he's got like a top 20 draft grade. Even if that slips, he'll still go in the first.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason for him to come anywhere close to campus again.
I mean, if he's projected as like a first round draft pick, you have to leave.
You have to go.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, especially for someone like him. Especially for someone.
Can we say something? Because we talked about this last night. It was like after the show. It's like I think people read too much into just individual stats when looking at guys that are going to be pro prospects. Like these guys that are true freshmen, it's more about potential and what teams see what they can become. So you have to take that into account. Plus, this year is one of the weakest draft classes in I don't even know how many years. So, yeah, I think.
Yeah, and then you add to that that for someone like him who is all potential, right? Like he's 6'8", he can handle, he can shoot, he's got a big wingspan. He's someone that could easily ruin his draft stock by coming back another year and playing like ass. Because right now he's undeveloped, raw. They look the other way. To Matt's point, they don't really care about the stats. They're looking at the potential. They look the other way on some of the, frankly, low IQ basketball plays he makes, and they're like, "Oh, we can coach that Evan Beasley. You can't coach that athleticism and size." And he comes back another year and struggles. Like then they're like, "This guy's never. The light bulb's not going to go on." He's most of the reason, like when our better players end up getting drafted lower, it's usually like a height thing. Like Jordan Miller played power forward in college. He's not even close. He's a guard. Yeah. So he's got a big adjustment. He slips down. Same thing with Zay, was a little undersized for a 2 guard, but that's his position, so he slips down a little bit. Keyshawn's the opposite. He's got all the measurables and all that. The only thing he can do is come back and ruin that by playing poorly. So he should go. If anyone's advising him, he should leave. Just as in his best interest. Yeah, and he's a foreigner, doesn't get NIL. As Cam's guy, he pointed out the same thing with Joe Bay. All right, so not the grade. What do we got here?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
So it's different for me because I think when we first started talking before right before the season started, and we kind of knew more about him, I had projected him, if I recall, like I wouldn't be surprised if he was starting towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And so with that into account, I'll go B, just because I think there, was inconsistencies. I mean, obviously he's a true freshman. Seems like I'm being harsh, but like, I kind of expected him to kind of show his game like this. So I think there was room for improvement and whatnot, but obviously you saw he was turnover prone. I think he had the highest turnover percentage on the team. I get he's a freshman, but I'm just justifying why I'm going with a B versus, if it was, without the expectations, I probably would have said A or A-, but yeah, I'm going to go with a B.
So just before, Melissa, you can go next, but first, just to Nate's point, actually, I forget. I think I might have been talking to Jazz, but I'm like, he's going to get picked in the first round, depending on how high he's probably going to get GM fired.
Who?
Keyshawn. I mean, would you? I mean, let's be real. Would you pick him based on everything we saw this year? Like in a high, so I think depending on how high he goes, if someone takes him like a top 10 and sticks him on a bad team, that is going to be problematic for his development because he's very raw.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do top 10, but
well, that's why I said depending on. I don't think he's going to be a total like Nate was saying. Like he's going to NBA development carousel. Like I think he could have a solid NBA career and like be a little bit of a journeyman. You know, we'll nail him on NBA grid every time. But he can also be a really good rotation player, I think. But if you pick him too high, based on like, I don't think he's ever gonna like.
I don't even know. Like in this draft class, like they're talking about Reed Shepard.
Well,
being
yeah,
the
that's
number
what I'm
one
saying.
draft.
That's perfect because that's the context to what I was saying. Was like, I could easily see a GM like 6 pick, 7 pick being like, look at this guy and reaching for him and getting fired for it. I think he can be a really good NBA player, solid rotation player. But like when you think like franchise player, I don't see that. And someone might pick him high enough where like the fans and expectations will be that he's that just because the draft is so bad.
And
I
don't know how many franchise players are in this draft.
Right. And the other thing with him though, I guess, you know, if you want to talk yourself into it, he is so raw that, you know, he's probably got a better chance of like hitting that highest level than some of these other guys around him that have played more basketball. Because maybe, and that's where the GM will talk yourself in. But I'm going for it, man. I'm Lorenzo Carrier, hoping it's a fastball.
I give him a B+. As a big fan of his in the offseason, we saw spurts of what he could be. I won't give him an A because he's made some freshman mistakes, but I also agree he's gone. It's a weak draft class. If he's projected in the first round, he'd be stupid not to go.
Thank you, Chains. I thought Melissa would react to my Lorenzo Carrier reference, but CCH stepped it up. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Real quick, shout out to the Canes hockey team winning the AAU Division III National College Hockey Championship.
I'm not ready to say we're a hockey school. All right, baseball.
We're a hockey town. The Panthers are in first place.
School.
We're a hockey town.
Look, man, the baseball team still has a pulse. Beat Virginia last week. If we could stop falling behind by 4 runs every game, that'd be useful. But there's still our moment for the women. Hopefully,
really cool shirts. Too bad the men suck, but these also go for the women. So
yeah,
we should cross out basketball and put hockey.
Anyway,
well, luckily they just put Hurricane basketball, so I can just pull it and say it's a women's shirt.
There you go.
All right, so for Keyshawn, I'm giving him an A. And for me, it's hard. I actually think he got worse as the season went on. And not just because of the opponents. Even the beginning of the
because he saw his NBA draft stock.
Was it because of the role like he went from not starting to starting?
Part of it. I do think he was better coming off the bench with a defined role. So I think that's certainly part of it. But yeah, I thought he was much better at the beginning, and even into ACC play. At the beginning of the ACC play, he was maybe the best player in the team, certainly one of them. And then really starting with that Virginia game where he got injured, which is a whole other thing. He never really came back correct, and I don't think it was because he was hurt. I think, like you said, his draft stock maybe got in his head a little bit, and then also he was a victim of kind of role swapping. He was a starter, and there's a backup, and there's a starter, and there's a backup, and that probably helped for someone that's as raw as him that probably needed more of a consistent role to come in and play. So I don't really fault him for that. But if you're telling me like random dude we pulled out of 3rd Division France or wherever the hell he was playing and that he was that good, I give him an A for that. So he was better than Wugga.
We're all in agreement right now as far as staying and going.
Yeah, well, it might get more interesting with the
all right, who's next?
The next batch. All right, so we'll go Nigel and Witchhead last.
I was going to say Bensley, since Bensley came off the bench, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll go Bensley.
Bensley, I will give a C to.
Staying or going?
I think he goes.
He goes. All right, do you want to explain or do you want to do that?
I give him a C because I don't think his offensive game improved much at all this season, and I expected to see a jump. And I think his defense in some games actually fell off. I think he showed he cared more than most of the players on this team as far as his effort, whether he was bad or not. So I'll give him a C. I think he was just average. And I'm 50-50 on him staying or going. I'm saying going because I think he's going to look for a starting role somewhere else. He's not a starter on this team.
Allegedly.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think he's a starter on this team. So yeah, I'll give him kudos for his effort and a C, but I think he's gonna go because I think he's gonna look for a starting role. I don't know that he'd be okay with coming off the bench.
G in the comments agrees with you. That's a grade 6 fan, not starting. Matt,
You go first.
all right, I'm gonna give him a B plus. The only thing he would get an A plus if he cut out 3 moronic, unbelievable, how have you ever played basketball before turnovers he commits a game. But no one plays harder than him. We saw this last night. He was switching on to Quentin Post and defending him better than Norchad
He
did.
boxed his ass out.
He's a bulldog.
It was
He
a couple
plays his ass
times.
off. He
Well, I
plays
said I
smart.
applaud his effort.
No, I know. I'm explaining why I gave him a B plus.
Yeah.
He's a decent shooter. He's clutch at the free throw line too, which we got to talk about Nigel's free throws
Well,
at some point.
I will
this year.
say
But,
you said to give grades based off of our expectations.
no, and I'm giving you because I did not have expectations of him to be that. No, of course these are all off expectations. It's all scale.
Yeah.
That's what Matt was saying. We all have different grades.
That's why
even
I
we can
said I
agree on-
gave him a C because
No, we
I
can
didn't
agree
see
on-
any offensive game improvement except maybe a small percentage of shooting the 3 better in certain games.
and that's why Matt was talking about earlier that we could all agree, have the exact same assessment of this player and give them a different grade because your expectations are your expectations. So, so I honestly, if we could cut the turnovers down a little bit, but I think for a team, and I think it's probably in the nature of probably says a lot about our team and, how we lost 10 games in a row in the season, but the nature of the team, he always stood out to me that when he was on the court, there was at least one guy busting his ass.
Yeah. His effort isn't questionable at all, but the constant driving into the lane and not going for the shot and passing it and causing a turnover, like you could count on it 3 or 4 times a game.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. That's what kept me from
His
giving him an A.
decision making on offense just drove me nuts.
No, and that's what took me from giving him an A because I would have accepted,
why I gave him a
especially. This is the first time he started consistent minutes. I would have expected it to get better, and it just didn't. Even like yesterday, you had a couple where you're like, dude.
Yeah.
But I do think he stays. I don't think he's gonna start at a better program than this. So it's a question of like, does he drop down? Probably out of P5 to get guaranteed a starting role.
Have to be like a mid-major.
Yeah, he could definitely start at like a lot of mid, but where's he going, man? He's Haitian.
Like a
He's
Harlan
in
Beverly
Miami.
situation.
Yeah, but he's Haitian. He's in Miami. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, what you think?
I'll give him a B. B or B minus. Yeah,
Be different. Vish said B.
you're right. I'll do B minus.
said B plus.
I was leaning towards B minus anyways.
I said B plus.
To be fair, to be fair, I think you can say this about a lot of guys on the team. I think that, he suffered from the whole, his role differed because of guys being out. I don't think, there was moments where, we're looking for him to be the primary playmaker and one of the primary scorers. And I don't think he's ever going to be, that type of player. I do think, he was obviously still big for us defensively and just in terms of effort. And what he gives every night. But his shooting, he started off hot, but end of the season kind of tailed off, I believe.
I think that was the whole team.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Except Norchad.
But yeah, no, like you guys both mentioned it, the turnovers as well. It's just mind-boggling because he drives in and it's almost like he panics and he's out of control. He throws it out and, it's a bad pass and other teams out in transition, which those are turnovers that, You know,
Matthew
obviously,
Cleveland steps on the end line.
well, like you don't. I mean, that's dead ball turnover, right? That's different.
Yeah.
Like giving the ball to the other team, and letting them get out on the fast break. That's getting
Yeah.
killed twice essentially. So, and we had a lot of those. I mean, and there was a lot of moments too when we're in transition. He had a bad pass or whatever. But no, I mean, he was still big for us in some games and whatnot. So I guess I'll go with a B minus. So
I will say he showed to me was one of two guys to me that showed the most effort over the year, consistently showing effort. Like you could tell he cared. I don't know that I could say that about a lot of the games, a lot of the players on the team. Like
Yeah.
I applaud his effort. Um, but yeah,
And I would say in
his off.
addition
I
to
had a lot more expectations for him, which is why I give him a C. Maybe I was
yeah,
expecting too much.
I would
But
say in addition to effort, he was also probably the toughest player on the team. He would stick his nose into everything.
yeah,
Um,
he wasn't afraid.
yeah, and so that was good.
Yeah.
All right. Are we doing Woog or are we doing Cleveland? Let's do Cleveland.
yeah, let's do Cleveland.
I guess context for this, he already transferred once, so he'd have to sit out a year if he's going to transfer again. So we're really talking, is he going to try and like go pro or come back?
I think he stays. As far as his grade, I give him a D plus. And honestly, I think we all expected a lot more out of him than what he gave. To his credit, he was in a position that wasn't his position, and he had the Jordan Miller expectations on him. At the beginning of the season, I loved his offensive game. His mid-range game was great. I loved his effort on the boards. As soon as we had an ACC play, he disappeared. I don't know what the hip injury was. Honestly, after that, I just feel like he never showed up. He completely disappeared against FSU. So I'll give him a D plus. Yeah, I agree. He got asked to do something that he's not, but
Want me to go first? Or you want
on
me
the
to go?
opposite of Bensley, I felt like there was no effort whatsoever with Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to preface this with, and I'm not saying anyone here. I think that there was a general, misunderstanding of, that Matt Cleveland was going to be, Jordan Miller 2.0. And me, myself, I didn't expect that. Because Jordan Miller, I feel like we talked about this last night. All the small things that Jordan Miller does, in terms of defensive rotations, ball security, just in terms of being a leader and whatnot, he's just not that player. I think he has a more diverse offensive game. But I will agree with Melissa. There was some inconsistency. I think he was still big in some games for us as well.
A few.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty solid on-ball defender. There were times, I mean, I've mentioned this before on the show, that off ball he kind of struggled with in terms of engagement and whatnot. I'll go. I guess I'll go. Since my expectations were a little different, I guess I'll go with like a C plus. That's where I'll go.
Anything he's staying, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, I think he's staying. I think he might try for the draft, like go through the workouts and stuff. I think he only did it. Did he even do it last year?
We gotta look up this. I think
Yeah, we need to look this up later.
Allegedly, Zay could have come back.
I will say I think there's more potential to him. Whereas, like, I think obviously Bensley gives a lot of effort, but I think we've seen most of what we can see from his game. I think Cleveland was just in a spot that wasn't his position.
I agree with what Nate just said.
He seemed hesitant, like he didn't know his role. Like he didn't want to take over the game because he was new to the team. I think there's more to his game that I think L could get out of him, and we could see a different player next year. But it just wasn't his year this year. But I do think there's more potential than what we saw this year.
So yeah, it's a tough one for me to grade. I expected more, but also I'm just not on board with. I think a lot of people blame him for a lot of what went wrong
Yeah,
this
that is
season.
true.
And I know the two of you aren't doing that. And I don't think
People
he
on
was
Twitter.
nearly as bad as people have made it out to be. Because it's easy to pick the dude that transferred from FSU and start pointing the finger. And so I actually thought it was interesting that we made that run last night, and frankly, if we didn't put Nwoko in and try to go two bigs, when we actually switched Cleveland on a Quinton post and basically did what we used to with Jordan Miller last year, and that actually worked because Norchad couldn't guard him at all, and Cleveland did a better job. Frankly, Bensley did a better job of guarding him last night. But I'm wondering if there was more potential there than we gave him credit for, because we didn't really. As much as everyone's like, we asked him to play at a position, play a Jordan Miller role, we actually didn't. He wasn't guarding bigs. He was almost playing some weird hybrid role where he was the fourth. He was playing the four, but he was really playing it almost like a half three, half four. I think because we weren't posting him up. We didn't play the thing with Jordan Miller. He was an undersized four that we played as a four. Matthew Cleveland was playing the four in name, but we actually kind of had him at the three. I thought he got crowded out of his spots a lot by the other players that also are playing in those same spots on the court. And I do wonder if there was a better season in him had we actually played him more closer to the basket and around the rim with his athleticism and allowed him to defend bigs a little more.
That's why I said I think we haven't seen all of him yet.
Well, I'm about to contradict myself when we talk about next season, but
I think he's staying, but I also would like him to stay because
I think he'll stay, and I'll give him a B
more
minus.
to his game.
I'm gonna give him a B minus and think he's staying.
Apparently, I'm the most harsh out of the three of us.
Well, we'll see. We're gonna get to some other players soon.
Yeah,
we got three left. We got Wooga.
All three of us think he's staying, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Should we do Wooga then?
Yeah, we'll do Wooga next.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
I think he's leaving. I think it's whether via transfer. I'm sure he'll try to test NBA. Yeah, but I think he'll leave via transfer. In terms of grade, I mean, we talked about it a lot, and I mean, Coach L mentioned it. Do you remember in the presser before the season started that he was expecting Wooga to kind of take that role that Zay
Kane's Cats
kind of had last season?
Out.
Yeah. This will probably be my worst grade. I'm gonna go. Actually, I don't even remember what did I put for Watson and.
I should have written the shit down.
Oh, see, now I don't even know if it's worse.
I don't think you've gone below C. I don't think you've gone below C because I know Melissa.
No, I had D for Watson and stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know, there was games he wasn't playing healthy, but
it's based off your expectation.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go F. To be honest. To be completely honest.
I mean, you're supposed to be completely honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I just think there's so much
with his expectations that he told us.
I mean, El's the one who basically bet. And actually, I will say this: we've complained a lot about effort and all. Wooga was busting his ass yesterday, and I mean, from what we could see, he was fighting for rebounds. He was active. He couldn't hit a fucking shot. He shot 1 of 10, but he was really battling and got benched for basically the entire first half. And we couldn't see what the forcing function was. And then he got benched again in the second half after he had been very active on the boards. Frankly, a lot of people defensively are still recovering for Norchad not trying on defense the whole game. And so, he was actually one of those. So, don't know what was going on with that, but from a season basis, frankly, I hate to just it's hard to tell what the injuries were and what the
Yeah, we should just go by what we know.
But this was not the first time he shot. What was it? NC State was 1 of 13 or something.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't have that. We forget he's gonna step up and replace Zay's production. Like you can't have that period from a starter multiple times a year. And it's not, and he's not Nigel where, you know, we're asking him to force up bad shots just because, you know, we need we need him stretching the court out. All of this stuff should come within the flow of the offense. And yeah, I'll give him a D. Just give him a little latitude for injuries. But yeah, no, he's definitely to me the biggest disappointment on the team.
You think he stays or goes?
He's gone.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Vish. I'll give him a D just because of the injury situation and I mean, I don't know how many times he's injured his ankle. So I honestly, it's just there was a lot of games where he looked like he wasn't there, like he wanted to be somewhere else. But I think he goes also. I don't think he wants to be in college. So I think he ends up in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get drafted, to be honest. So
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't think he stays at Miami.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. And I think there is some. I think.
I mean, early on, he was like when we were, I mean, before the downfall.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't have missed.
He
from
was
three at the beginning of
projected.
the year.
Well, no, and he was projected like early second round pick. Sorry, we have the Clemson game, and I just saw PJ Hall flex, and it really pissed me off.
They're getting killed though.
I know they are. I don't know how you flex when you like. Okay, good for you.
Oh, good. They took post out, so we got to go against a little. Look at him, bitch.
Anyway, I don't even remember what I was saying now.
I think you were saying he had a high second round grade
round
before.
grade.
Oh yeah, high second round pick. I mean, border first round. I think his like best hope would to try to get like a two-way deal, kind of like what Jordan Miller and
Nate's saying that, yeah.
Isaiah, yeah. But I just don't know, you know, if
Yeah,
know,
no,
if
and
he was
I actually
gonna do
don't
that.
know that he necessarily cares. I think he's just gone.
Yeah.
I think he knows he's not going to be he's not delusional.
I just don't think he wants to be in college. Like that's the thing. Like I think he's just over it. Like he'd rather just play basketball wherever that is. So
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, there's other colleges that don't necessarily feel like you're in college too, right?
yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Whatever.
Honestly,
see.
to me, I think him leaving is like the most obvious one.
Yeah,
as far as
I
like the
agree.
starting
Well,
rotation
yeah,
concerned.
definitely. Out of the big six.
Not
guys.
the bench players, but as far
Yeah,
as like our
out of the big six.
starters.
Well, since we talked about both of them, do you guys still feel out of Keyshawn and Luga, like out of those two, who would you say is more likely?
I think regardless, we'll go and coach L. That thing is over.
Who would you actually? Here's a question: who would you prefer to stay? Wooga, like saying like you could keep one. Would you prefer Wooga or Keyshawn?
Keyshawn.
Yeah,
Not even
Same.
close. But we're gonna actually, you don't know this, but we talked off air. We're gonna ask if you could pick one player to stay. Who would you?
not right now though.
Not
We'll
yet.
do it
Not
at
yet.
the
Then
end.
we got two more players to go.
We'll do it
through.
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we gotta do that. We gotta do Mount Trashmore of our
Yeah.
worst ones. We got some
Who's
stuff.
next?
To do.
Who's
All right.
next?
Let's do. Is it Norchad or Nigel? Who we going with?
Do Nigel next.
Okay. Well, I got the quote for those that didn't pull this on my phone since the computer's being used.
Who's going first, Melissa?
Yeah,
I'll
but
go
here, let me just.
Okay.
So
From the presser.
So they did ask. Okay, so this is the press conference in case y'all didn't see it.
I
So,
read your email. Thank you for sending that.
Yeah. So
You're the real MVP.
so they asked the question, to Norchad and Nigel, and Nigel had a thoughtful answer. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was kind of long. But he talked about this brotherhood and how the team bonded, even though the season didn't work out the way he wanted to.
in his relationship.
Then he
with
ended.
Norchad.
Yeah, it's no relationship with Norchad. They're roommates. And then he ended with, it's been a challenging year for us, but sometimes you've got to go through adversity and get over the hump to see the better side. You continue to work hard. And then what comes next year just comes down the line. Got to meet with coach and my parents and my family and things like that and see how it goes. Then Norchad said, yeah, I had the same thing to say. To summarize it, it's great to be a Miami Hurricanes. Norchad didn't really answer the question. Nigel gave kind of a long, thoughtful answer. So Melissa, you can go
So
first.
for Nigel, I'm gonna give a B minus. I know he was injured. There were some games where he would disappear in the first half. Like I wanted to see him be more aggressive shooting wise. I am a fan of his, even though he's undersized. Like his game, like you have to guard him far out into the 3-point land. And I feel like he didn't do enough shooting to draw more defenders out. So that's why I give him a low B. I think he stays. I don't think he's going to transfer, and he's not going to get drafted. He's too small. The question is, and Nate's mentioning it also, can you play him alongside Jaleel? He hasn't shown the ability to be a true point guard. I know we've been trying that.
So I'll take that real quick. I think he totally has shown to be a 3-point guard. He was on the team that went to the Final Four. I think what failed this year was actually
no. Well, here's my counter argument to that. Can he play point guard? Yes. Do I think there's better options? Also, yes. Here's my thing. Last year he was our point guard, but you had Wong at the 2 who could do some handling as well. He was our point guard.
But Wong didn't do nearly as much handling as Bensley did this year.
Bensley did a lot of handling this year.
Bensley was the point guard. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like Nigel wasn't the point guard this year.
Yeah.
Bensley. What didn't work was him playing as an undersized 2 guard.
I would say though too. I mean, Bensley handled the ball a lot, but Nigel was still our best playmaker.
Yeah, he was.
When you look at assist rate,
what position do you put him at?
I put him at point guard and put Jaleel next to him, but we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think what I was gonna say is, so like you referenced Zay last year. I think that Nigel was in the perfect situation with he had another guy that could score and play make.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't have that this year. We didn't have another guy that could create his own shot and create plays for others. Bensley did it on an inconsistent basis.
I don't think Nigel tried enough to make plays this year. Like I felt he was more hesitant. Maybe it's because of the injury and then he missed a bunch of games, so we didn't get to see his full potential. I thought he was much more aggressive last year than he was this year.
In terms of creating offense for himself or creating for others?
Both. The injuries could have been that. I thought he was a better point guard last year than he was this year. But again, Vish makes the point of he didn't have the same people around him.
He wasn't playing point guard. Again, I think Bensley was running point most of the year. So I don't even know. Anyway.
So that's what I'm asking.
I honestly think he did a better job playmaking this year than he did last year, to be honest. I think that the inconsistency what really affected him was not having another guy that can create for himself offensively. And I think that's where, when you're going to be the main playmaker, even though Bensley had the ball in his hand a lot more, when you're going to be the main playmaker and you're the number one guy in terms of creating offense for yourself, that's a lot to put on one person.
That's why I think he played better last season. That makes my point. Listen, I'm not hating on Nigel.
Did you say he stays or goes? I can't recall.
I think he stays, but my question is, where does he play in the offense? Are we thinking that Jaleel's going to be his new Isaiah Wong?
That's another topic. Go over.
So I was going to say, I think in terms of creating offense for himself, I think that took a step down when you look at his percentages and whatnot. I still think his playmaking was better than it was last season. So, we can agree to disagree on that. But in terms of my grade, you guys remember I said that I thought he was going to be a top 5 scorer in the ACC. That didn't happen. What did you say, Melissa, for your grade?
I said B-. You also remember, I don't remember if you guys know this if you remember this from beginning, midway of the season. I argued a ton that Nigel was just fine at point. I argued that for half the season, but I don't know if it was injury or what, but his production went down. And so that's why I question him as a point guard.
Agreed.
Okay.
We're going to talk about all that, Melissa. That was we have a whole other topic. We're going to talk about what we want to happen next year.
I guess I'll go with
I get through one more of these. What'd you say, sorry?
I'll go with a C+, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to tell with injuries.
He looked stressed.
All right. I think he's going to stay.
Oh, and wait, did I say I think he's gonna stay? I don't even think I did.
No.
But yeah, I think Nigel's the most likely to stay, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he'll stay.
I agree with that.
I give him a B plus. I thought there were a few games, especially after he got hurt, where like you can't shoot 0 for 8 and shit. Like that's just not. I understand he was playing on one leg and all that, but he's the best player on this team this year. To me, it wasn't even close. I know we're going to talk about Norchad in a minute, because without him on the court, we can't do anything. We can't open the court up. We can't stretch the court up. It compresses everything.
He's the only one that's good in terms of ball security as well.
One, yeah, exactly. He's the only one that can create anything, and even just,
which I would say he actually improved in that regard too. When you look at his turnover rate,
yeah, no, and he's bringing something to the table that no one else was, and you could see the court compress when he comes out of the game and when he was injured. And as much as even those games, in fact, last week against Boston College, you could see that where he didn't make a shot the whole game, but we were killing them because they were guarding him out at the logo, and the whole court was open.
That's why I wanted him to shoot more.
But he was shooting in that game. He was missing. He went like 0 of 6 or whatever.
Yeah, but like there were games where he had one shot in the first half.
Can I finish my point here?
I'm just saying.
I think this is the most debate we've had.
I think I can mute her though.
Don't do that.
I know, I'm just joking.
I'll unmute you. Don't worry.
I know. He'll knock me the fuck out.
Oh, he might kick me out of the stream like he did to you, Matt.
I never kicked
He's
anyone
gonna
out of the
kick me out of his house.
Just
Don't
push
Monica
you
start
off the
packing
couch.
shit. No, just kidding. All right, but I would say, and I think we saw crystal clear last week against Boston College. We were up big. He gets injured, and immediately we couldn't score. We ended that game with 67 points. We had like 40 at the half. And he played most of the first half, and that's because he got hurt. And then all of a sudden, we can defend with 5 guys with a foot in the paint. And a lot of that is because, again, Wooga was such a disappointment that he's the guy you should have to punish that too. But even when Nigel's not playing well, he's pulling defenders all over the court. You have to chase him, and it opens the court up for everyone else. And I will say this about that kid. I never see him not playing hard. And even injured, he tries to gut it out. He shouldn't have come back for that Boston College game round 1. He did. He hurt himself again. He played the second half of the UNC game at home when he should not have come back in the game, but he did anyway. And compared to some of the other guys who probably had stuff they could play through that refused to, he did the opposite. And he also, last night, Jaden Zachary was fouling the ever-loving shit out of him on every play.
He was crossbody fouling him.
Yeah, he was just hitting him, hammering him. He's obviously bigger than him, too. And he kept attacking, got in the paint, kept scoring. He played the whole second half until
that shot clock violation, too. He got fouled on it.
Yeah, and he played the whole second half until, Coach L pulled him out with 3 minutes left, trying to just gut the team to victory.
No, I don't question his effort.
I know you don't, but so I'm explaining why I got to B plus because he did overall he didn't shoot and score as well as I expected. No. But I think all the other stuff was there. So
give me a full season of him healthy, then it's a different story. Like I thought he was great for us at point last year. This year he dropped off a bit. But I mean, him as point and Jaleel as a 2 guard. Maybe his role was different this year with the lack of scoring. I don't know. I think, injuries, whatever, but I want him to stay. I just wonder how all of this fits.
We're gonna next topic. You still want to short circuit my man Norchad.
I'm just saying. I'm explaining my reasoning for.
No, I get it. We're gonna actually talk. So we got 2 more topics. We got 3 topics after this. One. If you could pick one player to stay, who would it be? That would be a quick one. Number 2 is one after we do Norchad's grades and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is just what do you want to see kind of happen next steps? Like who do you want to leave? Or who would you not be bothered by is probably a nice way to put it. And then also kind of what should we target portal wise? Keeping in mind we do have the 3 high quality freshmen coming in. But first, Norchad. Listen, do you want to go first? Norchad's your guy. Do you want to go first or last time, Norchad?
Doesn't matter to me.
You go first, Melissa.
All right.
I think I went first in most of these, honestly.
The floor is yours.
So my grade for Norchad is an A-. I think he's the only player I gave an A to. He had a couple games where I think he was injured where I questioned his effort. I did not see the game last night, so I don't know. I think he may not be our best player, but I think he is our most valuable player. I think he stays. I think he should stay. But he basically averaged a double-double. What he was able to do with his lack of height and still play the 5, and I think he held most centers at bay for like, the entire season. He made Baycott his bitch. He was like a new after he missed that one game and he came back, it was like a whole different Norchad. Like, there was something obviously lingering the game before that because he looked like shit, and then he missed the game, and then he looked like his usual self. My favorite part of any game is him starting off with a 3. I actually would like him to be more aggressive taking that shot. I think he hesitated sometimes. You could tell, like, when he made those 3s, it's because he was in rhythm and he didn't question taking it. The shots he missed, he hesitated.
Sorry, I'm reacting. PJ Hall just drove in lane, fell on his own. They called a foul. And what in the name of white privilege is that call?
So I give Norchad an A-. I think he was our most valuable player this year. I want him to stay. I want him to stay. I think he stays. And yeah, there you go. He's another guy that I would put up there with Nigel and Bensley as far as effort is concerned, where he's, I mean, again, you were saying something about his defense last night. I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't see the game, but for the most part, I wasn't really questioning his effort ever.
Well, here's an example. Let's look just from last night, just to give you an idea. He had 13 rebounds, 9 were offensive. He was not even trying defense. He was just look at his stat line. Like, man,
yeah,
it's a high caliber double-double.
And you said he was in foul trouble. I noticed it throughout the season where he gets into foul trouble and he gets so hesitant defensively
it
about
was
making
from the
another
word
foul.
go. Quentin Post put up 13 points on him in the first 5 minutes. But anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
Matt,
it's a one-game outlier for the most part.
Well, this is where I'm going to disagree a little bit on that. So, in terms
there was a couple of games he got beat up at Colorado.
I do agree with what you said. He looked a lot better after he took that game off against Syracuse just to heal up. I'm going to give him a B. I think he's first of all, like, I don't really grade whether or not his size whatever, because he plays bigger than his size and it doesn't fucking matter. He is really good around the basket, really good rebounding. He's got to be a pain in the fucking ass to play against. Like, I can't imagine having to go against that bulldog. I do think the reason I'm not giving him, I gave Nigel a slightly higher grade, is I think Norchad, in the name of expanding his game, hurt himself a little bit. He shot too many jumpers, too many threes. And it's part of it's probably recency bias because he bricked like 4 in the first half yesterday. For some reason, he decided he was just going to launch up a bunch of threes. But like, I thought that actually hurt his game. It was good when he was making it, but I thought anytime Norchad's not around the basket, it's a loss for us. And so I think that actually hurt him a little bit. Like, at the beginning of the year, he was shooting them better, and I was like, man, this guy's expanded his game. And all, but I thought that kind of faded a little bit. I do think some of the baby food was empty calorie stats this year. A lot of, putting up double doubles and blowouts or games that weren't that competitive because he was playing so many minutes because the backups. He was the one player that did not have a functional backup for himself. So if he wasn't in foul trouble, he was always going to play like 30 to 35 minutes, and so he'd run numbers. I don't know if they were always impactful numbers. And so, again, I'm explaining why it's not an A, because he's clearly, I think he and Nigel, like, I mean, they're kind of like a cut above the rest of the team in terms of what they brought this year and like what they mean to the program and everything. So they're like in almost a different category.
Agreed.
I would like to frankly see him go back a little bit more to playing around the rim more and not floating so much on the perimeter. Because I think what he did get better at, which we unfortunately didn't see that much of, was the times when he actually just tried to post up and just do like, I'm going to get it on the low block and try to score in the post. I thought he got a lot better at that this year than he was last year, except he was so in love with floating around the perimeter and trying to make moves off the dribble, which he can do, but that's not his best game. I'd like him to come back to just being like, I play by the rim.
In all honesty, he probably got that feedback from the G League combine.
Oh, I'm sure he did, and
About
that's why
shooting,
that's
so
why I
that's
said in the
probably
name
why he
of
was doing it. Yeah.
that's why I said in the name of kind of going in the name of expanding his game out and addressing. I think it hurt him a little bit because I think he was still trying to show. Again, he
Yeah.
shot 4. I don't think he's ever shot. I mean, yesterday, like you said, was a 1 game out. He was like, "I'm going to run numbers up there." He was shooting so many threes, and he kept everything was wide right too, and he kept launching it up. He shot. I mean, I don't think he's taken 4 threes and a half his entire career. That first half, he was just chucking everything up. So, I don't know. In terms of whether he stays, he's the one I'm most on the fence on. I don't know. I don't think he's really going to get drafted. I don't think he's going to get a draftable grade. He is a portal candidate because he'll grad transfer. I'm assuming he's graduating. He's been in school forever. So yeah. So I mean, I think that's something to monitor with him. But if I had to guess, I would say he's probably coming back because I think he has a strong relationship with Nigel, and I think Nigel's coming back. I think that'll probably will tip
I think
it.
also being where he's from and being in Miami also helps with the different culture down here, and that he speaks Spanish and all of that. He's a portal candidate.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
Yeah.
I think he's staying. Yeah. I think I'm less sure of it though than we've been in the past few weeks as we've done shows.
Yeah, yesterday was weird. We actually noticed, I don't know if he was sick or something. He kept sitting on the bench by himself and
looking in his jersey.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff going.
Yeah. I don't know. That was weird. But no, as far as grade, I'll go B+. I don't think I've given anyone an A, and I just don't feel right giving anyone an A based on
the season worst we had. ATC,
yeah.
So
I mean, I obviously love the intensity that he plays with, and everything. I think that there was more flashes of him on defense. I mean, we saw it last night. Negative flashes, like breakdowns and whatnot this season than there were last season, whether that's directly on him or, obviously Jordan Miller isn't on this team anymore. And I think Jordan Miller really helped him in terms of rotations. Because like Vish said on our show last night, this is the one thing you did mention is Jordan Miller would pick up, post players if Norchad got into foul trouble.
Or if he just was struggling with it.
Yeah, or if he was struggling
so he wasn't as exposed.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And actually, Matthew did that last night, and it kind of worked.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. So I'll go with a B+. Hopefully he comes back, but yeah.
All right. Do we want to do the coach?
Oh, we're doing coach too.
Do we want to? I'm not telling.
Nah, I'm not going to start grading coach.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about. Yeah.
No. Let's just put it this way.
He is coming back. All the haters out there.
Yes, he's coming back. Let's just put it this way with the coaching. Could have been better, not nearly as bad as you mouth breathers saying. And moving on. It's a fair assessment. There were things he could do better. And
everyone's so quick to fire him because we didn't make the tournament after making the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the
reason that we made the Final Four.
We don't need to do that again.
Fucking morons.
Yeah, we don't need to do that again. There were things he could have done better, but given the level
James Catsy, don't spam the chat.
Yeah,
don't do it, bro.
And given the level of injuries, knowing what we know now, what was the ceiling of this team? We could have been better. Again, he wasn't perfect. We could have maybe gone 500 in ACC play. And open the tournament today and lost instead of losing last night. No, I'm serious. That was the ceiling of this team. You were not going to get the coach. If everyone was healthy and you have the season to develop the chemistry, so you're playing your best ball at the end of the season, like we were the last 2 years. That's different than the team showing up healthy for the first time in 2 months in the ACC tournament. And so there was, once those injuries started piling up, you could get God in there. He's not going to coach this team in the tournament. It's over. And so, yeah, there's things that could have been done better. Of course, there always are. And we've certainly not shied away from criticizing individual things. But overall, But overall, I mean, there's not much you can do with this many injuries, and I don't think everyone would have been happy if we'd gone like 9-11 in the ACC. We wouldn't be like, oh, what a great coaching job, but it actually would have been. So it doesn't matter. It's all marginal. All right. Next top. Okay, let's just do this real quick since we did stay or go. If you could pick one player to stay, what would it be?
Oh.
Norchad.
Well, you're not going to answer?
Oh, you want me to go next?
I looked at you like 3 times, dude.
Oh, okay.
Just radio silence.
I'll go Norchad. Yeah.
I'll go Nigel. All right, that was a great topic. Now, moving on.
It's fair. I was close between Nigel and Norchad.
Yeah,
I think those are all 3 of ours top 2.
Yeah, no, I mean that's why.
Yeah, there's no other.
There's not even a.
Yeah.
There's something about Nigel that I think is a special character to it. Okay.
I need a healthy Nigel so he can restore my faith in his point guardness.
He needs an actual shooting guard next to him. He wasn't playing point guard. He was playing shooting guard. Anyway, let's do that again. Let's talk about this. Okay, so kind of segueing out of this topic into another one. Okay, so what do we do given the existing players, given who we know is coming in, from high school? Because again, we have the number 3 recruiting class in the country. How do you see this? Like, what do you think we need to address? You don't need specific players because who the hell knows, but like, what do we need to get in the portal? Who needs to leave? Because some of these guys probably need to leave. And kind of what is your starting 5/rotation next year? Again, with plugins like player X out of the portal, like this position or whatever.
So Jalil's coming in to start. Jalil Bethea. He's coming in to start. He's going to be the 2. You assume Nigel gets healthy. You play him at point. We can see Nigel of the final 4-year Nigel instead of this year's Nigel. I assume Cleveland's staying. You move him to the 3. You get an actual 4 that can stretch 4 basically. That could help Norchad defensively. And also, play on the perimeter, and you start Norchad at the 5. These are assumptions that certain people are playing.
I talked yesterday, and you just named exactly what I.
What did you think she was going to say, knowing her?
I know, but she even the Cleveland move to the 3, everything. I will say, I know he's.
Well, are you going to bench Cleveland? I don't see that happening.
And he's better at the 3 anyway. But I will say, if I know it's not going to happen, if Keyshawn were to come back, I know he's not going to. So
you play him at the 3.
No, you tell him to go lift a weight for once in his life and play the 4 because he's your stretch 4. He's taller.
I don't see.
He puts on any muscle mass. No, he's gone. But that's actually what we kind of need that height and that size. He should be able to guard bigger players.
But I do think we need another backup big, assuming Norchad stays.
Okay, so let's look at the roster. So let's say we do what you said. Let's construct that, right? So you got your starting 5 with the portal stretch 4 coming in. So then, who are the other 2 freshmen that we have? It's
Austin Swartz and Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah, so that's Schwartz is more of a 2/3 probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Johnson's 3/4
probably. Johnson is he's like one of those tweeners. I think he's like 6'7", but
so like a 3/4.
He plays bigger than like.
Yeah, those are definite rotation players. You got Nwoko coming back. You probably got Jakai coming back.
And Jobe.
Coming back. So Jobe is a 4. So that's kind of your so in terms of minutes, who do you think we out of those guys? And then you're saying one more.
Well, here's my thing. Is we experimented with we have AJ Casey that can play the 4 or 5 and Nwoko as a true freshman coming in, and there's your backup depth for Norchad. I'm not willing to risk having a true freshman and Nwoko, hoping he develops as our front court backups next year. I think we need, and besides whatever portal player we could bring in at the 4, I would like to bring in another, whether it's a 4 or a 5 for depth, an experienced person. Because the downfall when Norchad isn't on the floor, even last year when we made the Final Four, and this year is terrible. I would like some, less of a plunge when Norchad's not on the floor.
Yeah, I'm expecting Nwoko to be able to provide that in year 2.
I know I'm hoping that, but also I don't have trust.
And the other thing I would say is, unless Nwoko's offensive game gets significantly better, he can't play with Norchad.
Nope.
That he is just, you don't have to guard him, and so the other big can essentially protect the paint while the power forward crowds Norchad on the perimeter. And so now you have a quicker defender on the perimeter, and if he gets to the rim, you got a bigger defender protect. It's like the worst of both worlds. And I still can't believe we played Nwoko that many minutes yesterday. But I think the way you counter that is if Nwoko can develop more offensive game, and I don't see this happening by next year, to be honest, but where you can consistently throw it into the post to him and he can score in the low block, that changes it around, because then you have to defend him. But right now you don't. And so him playing center with Norchad at the 4, it's pulling Norchad away from the basket. It's allowing them to use basically 2 guys to combo the defense on him.
But that's why, as much as you laugh at my stretch 4 obsession, that's what you need, because you need someone who can shoot to draw defenders away from the paint.
Yeah, I know. I see it.
By the way, I know everyone's wondering, Boston College just won by 21 against Clemson.
Yeah, Quentin Post just dominated PJ Hall.
Bye, PJ Hall's mom.
Inexplicably, 11-10 in the ACC, clearly in the tournament.
Hope you got all your tours in, PJ Hall mom. Bye.
Well, no one stormed the Capitol, so I don't think she's gone yet. But I don't know that. So Melissa, you're mentioning another, I guess, more veteran backup big. Who's going to come in? Because this is one of the challenges I had this year.
We've said this before. Yeah. I don't know that it's.
I think feasible. It's the same problem. That's why I think it's going to be Nwoko.
Yeah, but I think so too. It's like, what would you like to see? That's what I would like to see. But you're not. We're not. It's. Yeah. I understand that.
And I do think again, depends on the nature of the stretch 4. Because
you would imagine that the stretch 4 can kind of get away with playing.
Right, and then you can obviously you can get minutes out of Cleveland at the 4 too. So it's not, and then Johnson also will get minutes there. Again, we're
hopefully.
I think
you never know.
I think a lot of people are overlooking Swartz. I think he's going to give us valuable minutes off the bench as a true freshman, as a guard.
Yeah, potentially.
Everyone's focused on Bethea, but I think Swartz has a really good game, and I think he could play as a freshman.
I think he'll play. I think, look, again, ideally, though, everyone complains about our lack of depth. Ideally, I would like Nigel and Jaleel and Matthew and Norchad and the unnamed stretch 4 to all play 30 minutes a game, and then have the other guys fill in the blanks. Like, I don't need – this is kind of my frustration, yesterday, was that I don't need 16 minutes from Nwoko. I don't need him playing 10 minutes next to Norchad. It's wasting my time. You could have put a better player. Keyshawn could have been in those minutes. What are we doing? And that's what I'm hoping, without injuries, we actually get to that consistent rotation. And that does solve a lot of depth issues that we've had this year. Because I agree with what Melissa said. Ideally, we get more bodies inside, but I think the only way we go into the portal and get an actual quality big is if Norchad's gone.
If Norchad's gone, yeah.
To everyone in the chat's always we need another center. We need another center. That is, we have a starting center who's one of the better bigs in the ACC. He was averaging a double-double. Yeah, second team All ACC. That player is going to get a ton of minutes. So who's coming in for that backup, maybe 10 minutes a game role?
Yeah.
And that's
unless you get a guy who was maybe a freshman somewhere else and played sparingly and is coming here thinking after this next season and he can get developed and play more. I don't know. I at this point, you hope Nwoko develops, and then if we do bring in a 4, that he can also take time at that position as well. But if you're asking me what I want, I would love another depth piece.
So we haven't mentioned. So I think if the one guy we forgot to mention sort of is like if Bensley is not back, we need
Yeah,
another.
that's what I was gonna bring up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because if Bensley isn't gonna be back, I think we do need another guard that can kind of play.
agreed.
Well, I think we should get a guard that can play kind of multiple positions. Someone that is a playmaker as well off the bench and can kind of create for themselves as well.
Do you think this is a question for both of you? Do you think we can realistically get? I don't know, someone in the because this is the thing, right? It's got to be someone with some experience that you can kind of trust to not be an idiot, right?
But I
Yeah.
think But I think you
think-
can sell that more than you could sell getting a big because you can show like even though Bensley didn't necessarily start every game, he was playing a ton of minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
what you're talking
I
about
think
really
it's an
though
easier sell.
is Isaiah Johnson is not that role at all. Anyway,
I think he might be talking about the backup big.
are we that far behind?
Maybe he's not.
Oh, that far because he's definitely not the backup point guard
Yeah.
slash shooting guard. But
about someone with college experience.
But what we're talking about in terms of size of role though, is what Bensley played 2 years ago, not what Bensley played this year. Because Jaleel gonna get his minutes, and so he's gonna get the Zay minutes. Though is my point. So
Jaleel's going to come in and be the best player on the team.
and he's going to play a ton of minutes, and Nigel's going to play a ton of minutes, and it's going to be, we're talking about Bensley's role from 2 years ago. We're looking for someone to come and fill, not Bensley's role from this year.
Where he played starters minutes even though he came off the bench.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
That role is no longer available. Jaleel Bethea took his minutes.
No. But like the year before, the Final Four run, where he was our sixth man.
Yeah, he didn't play starters minutes.
He played a lot of minutes.
He played some. I mean, it was Nigel, and he would sometimes take Wooga's minutes as whose minutes he would take when we go smaller.
Yeah.
But I still think it's an easier sell than trying to get a big in.
It is.
Because there's a role there.
It is, definitely. And also, I don't think Jaleel can really run point. So there is going to be a dedicated, okay, Nigel's out. We need a ball handler.
Yeah.
So there's
but where I think Jaleel does complement Nigel, and I was going to kind of get into this, is like what I think we're missing this year is someone that what we missed from last year is Zay's ability to get to the rim and kick it out, right? And I think Jaleel is going to kind of bring that back this season. Obviously, he's known for his elite shot making and whatnot and his ability to make difficult shots. But I think, due to his athleticism, his speed, just his overall offensive skill, he's going to be able to create for others as well. And I mean, he said it himself too, that he thinks the most underrated part of his game is his playmaking ability when we had him on. So, yeah.
That was a good interview. Everyone watching should go back and catch that.
All right, so that's how we we kind of was obviously assuming Watson and AJ Casey. Nice try, Matt. There it is, finally.
Right on your face.
Watson and AJ Casey are gone. I think we're all assuming Keyshawn's gone. I think based on the line we just threw together, pretty much as everyone else saying is what we're assuming.
Imagine if Keyshawn stayed and you had Keyshawn and Jaleel on the court.
If Keyshawn stays, he's got to bulk up and play the 4. You can't be sitting there the tallest player in the team and having to guard shooting guards because you want him in body with a small forward.
Yeah,
like his as much as Cleveland got a lot of shit for not being Jordan Miller, Keyshawn is taller and won't even step inside the 3-point line. And anyway, I mean, I think him coming back will obviously be awesome. He's got to hit the weight room. He's got to be able to defend in the post. He's your stretch 4.
We don't think he's staying though. So.
No, he's gone. Unless something dramatically changes with his draft grade. If you get a first round grade, you go. It's guaranteed contracts in the NBA. You don't stay for that. So yeah, he should. He should go. If someone's gonna drop in the first round, get the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
Get out while you can.
Matt, what do you think our starting lineup is next year?
I mean, for sure, Nigel, Jaleel, Cleveland. I mean, I said I think Norchad comes back. I mean, what? So you want me to guess like a stretch 4? Is that what it is?
Well, do
Well,
you think
is it? I guess the question.
I'm like, are we have a current player playing a position, or we're getting somebody from the portal? Like, you don't have to name an actual guy.
I
if you
mean,
think
I
it's
think
portal, just say
yeah,
portal.
because I mean, we talked about it. I think Keyshawn's gone. I think Woog is gone.
Casey and Watson are obviously gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about this last night. Are we really going to start, a team with Bensley, Jaleel, and Nigel? Like, I don't think there's any way in hell we do that. So, even if, Bensley comes back, I think we are getting someone.
Yeah, I think the one thing, despite the injuries, we were able to get a good evaluation of is that backcourt doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, we said that before the season started.
Yeah, and this is going to get into my next point once Matt's done here.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I think so. I think ideally it's what Melissa outlined. I think stretch 4s are a lot harder to come by than wing players, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Matthew is still the 4, and we go in the portal for a wing player to replace Wooga's position essentially. Because those are just easier to get, and you're right, absolutely right. We said like this backcourt's too small. This is going to take the ball out of Nigel's hand, which you don't want to do. However, we did we were right there in the end trying to get Cam Spencer to come in to be the starting shooting guard on this team, and when that fell through, there was not a starting shooting guard available, which is why all of a sudden it became, well, maybe this will work. I mean, this was not plan A for the coaching staff either.
No.
They were heavy in the portal for, again, talking about starting caliber shooting guards, right? They're not that easy to get. We courted a couple of them. Again, Cam Spencer was the closest because he was on campus right before he committed elsewhere. So, that was one that was totally intentionally the coach is signaling to us without saying it out loud. Bensley and Nigel's not the backcourt we want. We want Cam Spencer and Nigel to be the backcourt. And then when that didn't work, it became that's the backcourt we have. And Bensley is good enough to be a starting point guard. But he's not Nigel Pack. And so, I mean,
he doesn't have the offensive game that Nigel has.
Well, no, I mean, he's not in this league in many ways. So, obviously, you're never going to start him over Nigel Pack. So the question is, we basically had a choice, right? Start Keyshawn or start Bensley. We did both at times. Obviously, injuries meant that a lot of players started that normally wouldn't have, but there wasn't a good solution because Keyshawn's also not a 2. So it wasn't, it was just then you put Woog at the 2. He was terrible. It all came apart, obviously, but
people act like L wasn't trying to get players in the portal. Like he was just okay with what we went into the season with. They forget all of the other players that we were on their list and all of these different things. L's not a moron.
Yeah, no, and I think so. Yeah, but I think when we look back at the season, he's obviously not going to have the same challenge because Jaleel is here. He's the starting shooting guard. So there's no way you're running it back with that same backcourt. And it's really just if you look at the starters, and let's say, we don't know if we're right or not, but if you look at the players, assuming we get them back, right, then we are looking to replace Wooga out of the starting lineup. Because what's up, Evan? My F1 co-hosts were off this week because we've been doing this all week. So I mean, because you got Jaleel's in there already, but he's actually replacing Bensley if you think about it. We're sliding Nigel back to his position, which is point guard, and we're starting Jaleel. So we just need to. I mean, we're looking to replace Wooga. And there's 2 ways to do that. The one Melissa highlighting is plan A, which is slide Matthew to his natural position and get a stretch 4. And the reason it has to be a stretch 4 is not because Melissa's obsessed with stretch 4s, but because you can't have another big or a 4, like a traditional 4, bring another big into Norchad space. You've got to have that player playing away from the basket.
But it does make it better that I get to say stretch 4.
I told Matt this was going to be problematic yesterday.
Matt's not even paying attention.
I know because there's games on. He is not used to 2 TV stuff and just ignoring it like I am. You got to work on your. And you won't even want to know what this man is watching.
Matt, do you want to stretch 4 on the team?
I mean, I guess.
Robbie
I
Barron.
mean, I guess
and
the only thing
Chihuahua.
I would say is too like Robbie Barron. I don't think it necessarily has to be a stretch 4. I think, if this is going to be like a very specific player type.
Yeah.
But not an individual, but like a skill set. If it's someone that's just very active on the offensive side of the floor, setting high ball screens, obviously this, will it fit? I think it will. Someone that's really sorry, I'm totally distracted by this game now.
Do I need to turn off the again?
No, we're good. We're good.
I'll just let the viewers know that the session.
Montana is playing right now. Okay, it's a big deal.
No, but look at this. So we had the ACC game on, which is Clemson, Boston College. Boston College won by like 22, I think. Whatever. It was a blowout.
It's 21.
21. And so that game now ended. The next game on is the game that Matt cannot peel his eyes away.
It's Montana and Montana State.
Montana State in the Big
Sky
Sky
it's like
Championship.
the best rivalry in college basketball.
Yeah,
what are you
see?
talking
It
about?
is 30 seconds into this game. The score is 3-0, and he is like locked in.
Okay, I'm looking at stretch 4 guys. Okay, Deshaun.
Wait,
Thomas
can I talk about a guy that Max messaged me about?
Is it the guy that's a 26-year-old freshman?
No,
All right, but anyway, so what? Sorry, you were actually saying something about like the
no, but I
different
just think it can be if it's someone that has size, is active on the offensive side of the floor, isn't going to just stay on the block and can kind of put the ball on the floor. Is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think that could potentially. I say the one thing is they have got to be a weapon offensively from the standpoint of you have to guard.
So wait,
Yeah.
so
Because right now it's I don't know.
I don't know if Max is still watching because it's past his bedtime. Max messaged me a tweet about this guy.
8:30 over where you are.
Yeah, it's 8:30. He should be awake.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'm saying his name correctly. Norden Kapik. He's a 6'8" Austrian power forward who played at Lynn University, so D2.
Yeah,
he was
D2.
first team all SSC as a freshman/sophomore. So I'm guessing that means he's like a redshirt or something. Average 19.3 points, shooting 41% from 3. And he's got 2 years of eligibility left.
I mean, the only thing I will say about these like D2 guys, JUCO guys, whatever, that put up these big numbers and whatnot. Like we talked about, like Jonathan Pierre. Remember we talked about him last season.
Don't get us copyright strike. Hold the phone down. Seriously.
There's no sound.
It doesn't matter. It's the visual too.
Oh,
sorry. Matt and I got kicked.
Yeah,
but no film breakdown.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, but like Jonathan Pierre, that was one of the guys like when we were first talking about the transfer portal that we were into. He was like a 6'9" guy that could shoot, put the ball on the floor and whatnot. Ends up going to Memphis and isn't really playing. So with these guys, it's really like boom or bust.
And here's what I'd say: we've had success with Jordan Miller and with Norchad from smaller D1 though, and like tournament caliber schools. That could be like a 13 or 14 seed or whatever, make the tournament. I mean, George Mason obviously I'll coach them to a Final Four, but they're normally like, if they make the tournament, it's barely in, barely out type of stuff. Most of our key transfers over the year have come from Power 5 schools.
Nigel.
Because you can go Nigel, you can go Cam McGusty, you can go Angel Rodriguez, Sheldon McKellen, Kenny Kaji, Charlie
Kamari
Moore.
Murphy.
Oh, you're gonna pull the Kenny Kaji card.
No,
huh?
I'm just talking about all of them. Like, because I think
Max sent it to me. Max sent it to me because he was a stretch 4, and if we have
I get it. I think this is more general. It's nothing to do with the players specifically. Just more generally, we Charlie Moore also went to Kansas though. We're talking about talent level, right? And DePaul's
Donovan Kirk,
which is a major conference. In college.
That went to DePaul, went back to DePaul.
Yeah, but yes, I remember Keystone. Keystone did come from Florida. I'm talking about our key players though. But by and large, we go get players that, have Power 5 talent.
Yeah.
And recognize coming out of college, like this is a big conference player that whatever reason didn't work out and all. Those are the ones we've had success with. I mean, Nigel and especially, I mean, not Nigel. Norchad is just a freak of nature.
Yeah,
He's
it's
undersized but plays big. Jordan Miller, I mean, again, he's also kind of like a freakish one-off player. And
Melissa, don't you have to go at 11:50?
11:45, she's already late.
No, my mom already went to bed, so I don't have to go.
No, we got still got to do Mount Trashmore. But I would say, like, when you look in the portal, we do need a target. Like, hey, like who is, frankly, who's the Chris Watson somewhere else that would actually work out here, right? I mean, that's where we've had more success, not with going down and just pulling random. Oh, this guy's running numbers at a lower level. We've actually had a lot more success with guys that
will get an expanded role.
Yeah, that had a lot of talent. It's just not working out coming out of high school, and they're looking for a fresh start. We've had a lot more success with that than we have the other route. So, as much as like people are watching these smaller conferences, like this guy's lighting it up. There is a difference between doing that, even forget D2, even mid majors. There's a difference between doing that and doing. I know the ACC gets crapped on. This is big boy basketball, man, and our team, frankly, got the crap beat out of it this year. Couldn't stick up, couldn't handle it. And that's what happens when you play in a real conference. It's not the same thing, because the players are bigger and stronger. You have real. I mean, we were talking about game. I mean, Matt and I have watched too much basketball, as he is shocked at how late the games are on here.
You're welcome.
I know, but no, we were watching some of these games, and it's like some of these mid-major, like legitimate, like one of these teams is going to the tournament. They're playing a championship game. They're like, the players like aren't in proper shape, and we're like, do they? I'm like, no, because they don't have a nutritionist that's saying you're going to eat exactly this thing. Like, it's a totally different level of basketball. When you're talented and you're playing on that level, and the other team's in the same boat, and they're also like don't have like nutritionists on staff, and like the backup shooting guard is like built like he's chiseled out of stone, like every player pretty much other than DJ Burns in the ACC. Then it's just a totally different thing. Like he's got his size, speed, and strength, but it's just the professionalism you get in a major conference just is there, and it's a big jump even for the best players, even if it's just going from a mid major to I guess what do they call now, high major or whatever. but that because P5 is definitely not a term that works anymore after Pac-12 imploded. But so I think something that came out, because we're going to spend the summer like, look at this guy in the portal, look at that guy in the portal. You got to look at the competition they're doing it against, and in particular, it is demonstrative to look at their high school grades, and see like, what was this person projected. Is there a lot of raw talent in there that, again, we have some of the best coaches in the country here. We are capable of taking untapped potential and growing it out. And that's probably a better place for us to attack than someone who's very polished at the MVC level or whatever. Anyway, that's for future shows as we start, find the next Mustafa Amzil.
I had like 10 notifications on Twitter.
We're doing a Mount Trashmore. All right, so the Mount Trashmore for tonight is, I think it's fitting. The season is over. So for those that are new to the show, Mount Rushmore is when we win, which has been a while. We do a top 4 things that we like about topic. Mount Trashmore is obviously the opposite, top 4 things we dislike, and we're just going to do the season. So Mount Trashmore of moments from the 2023-2024 Miami Hurricanes men's basketball season. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. I'll list a game that I didn't even watch, and I was in another country for.
Oh, God. What was that? Boston College?
No, the UVA game.
Oh, God, yeah.
How many points did we score? Like 38?
36 or 38.
38? Yeah, I didn't even watch the game. Didn't watch the replay. I know Jacob Groves hit like 3 or 4 threes because I was looking at the box score for a little bit. That was another guy that we were kind of linked to, I think. Or did I just create that link in my head?
No, there was a couple guys that were rumored that would never happen.
So I'll go with the UVA game.
The UVA game is there. Melissa, would you like to go next?
Colorado.
I was gonna, this is the difference between us. I was gonna put that on the list, but I was at that game with Melissa, so it can't be on there.
I honestly had that on my list too, but
you weren't there with us.
That's what makes it worse, quite honestly, is that we actually have to watch it in person.
I don't know. I watched I guess for me that's not a unique situation for this year. I mean,
So-
seriously, of all the things, like we won both Notre Dame games. Of all the things that had to happen this year, like I was like honestly, because I was in Miami so long because I had COVID and I got kind of stuck there, and I was supposed to be training for a half marathon that I wasn't in condition to run. So what I ended up doing is just going to a ton of basketball games. I was honestly relieved to leave. So I'm like, I don't have to watch this anymore. And then of all the years for the tournament to be here, I'm like, I seriously have to watch these teams again. Like really?
What's your first
They
one?
did deliver. So I'm gonna go. God, I would say Kentucky, but like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Kentucky game. Not the trip, the game, because the next night they wouldn't beat the shit out of Mississippi State. So, but Kentucky.
Should Melissa go again because the Colorado game was going to
Oh,
be
the Colorado game is number
Yeah.
2 for you. Miss Brown, you're up.
Is that what your second one is, Matt?
Yeah, it was the well, I said second half of the Colorado game, but
Okay.
Second.
My second one. Probably gotta go Louisville.
I'm gonna switch one of mine now because I had the.
Well,
Louisville
I'm
game.
gonna zig a little bit because I didn't just pick like games. I was
No,
going
not all of
moments.
mine are games.
Okay.
I think you might say a moment that I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'll tell you this one, which in at the time didn't look was like haha, whatever, doesn't matter. But the whole decision to put Wooga back in against Stonehill and then he injured his ankle worse, and that was like the beginning of the end of the season.
Okay.
We never came back from that. And he got injured in the first half. We're up by like 11 billion points. And whoever decided they need to run him out there in the second half and have him injure his ankle even worse.
Yeah.
So they missed several games. We started off ACC play bad because of that. And then he also, when he came back, he was never healthy. And look, I'm not, obviously we all gave Wooga harsh grades. I think he was our lowest grade for each of us across the board. He does deserve blame for that. But that whole, I don't understand that thought process. That was an unforced error. That obviously 2020 hindsight, we would have sat him out the entire game. If we knew that was going to happen, but he got hurt, which can happen. But we had the choice of, are we going to insert him into this game? We're up by 40 points at the half, or are we just going to let him rest his ankle? And we decided to put him back in, and he missed several games and was never right again. So that is a low point for me. In fact, if I could go back and undo one thing, it would be that decision from the whole season. That should be number 1 on my list.
Matt, what's your third?
Well, I had the Louisville game on here too. I mean, I picked 2 generic ones, I think. I guess I'll go something a little different. I'll go because to me, like this was, you talked about the Stonehill game where Wooga got injured again. To me, it was when Matt Cleveland missed that shot
Against Wake?
Against Wake. Because I felt like
about that when I was there.
Yeah, because I feel like for me it was like, oh, it's just one game, one ACC game, but then after that it just fell like downhill. Obviously, there's multitude of reasons for that, but ever since that game, so I'll say that one as my next one.
My next one is going to be our lack of rebounding against UNC at the end on the free throws, where they let us back into the game and we had a chance to win it, and we couldn't get a fucking rebound.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one. I totally forgot about that one.
The lane violation.
That's true.
Too.
No, lane violation was a different game. It was the one
it's the one where they kept missing free throws and we couldn't get a rebound.
Yeah, they missed. They
got back to the line twice because we couldn't rebound.
Yeah, we would have had we would have shot for the win.
Yeah,
it was like I think a 1-point game. They missed 2 free throws and then got the rebound and made them. I think it was multiple. There was like 3 times I think they got rebounds.
It was multiple times that it happened.
Multiple times in one possession. And there was another time it happened right before that too. We didn't box out the free throw. That is man, I'm floored. That's a high quality one.
Yeah, Vish.
Feels adequate now.
I had these written down.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I just realized that.
He had taken notes. He just showed me this is what happens when you're in person. We basically picked all of his, so he's like on the fly here. He had Wooga's injury against Stonehill on there. He had Louisville loss. God, I kind of want to mention one of the Florida State games, but I'll go with. I don't want to do that one.
I got one actually.
You got one? You know? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because it was the second
Wait,
time.
you've already done 3, right?
No, you have to. Vish needs to do his
I have to
third.
go next, so
Oh,
we're gonna
okay.
be out.
Well, now
before-
you're gonna take mine, I bet.
I don't think so because I'm gonna. I'll say the Georgia Tech game generally, but more specifically, the first 5 minutes of the second half. That game was nuts. No one was missing a shot in the first half. It was 49-45. We were up at the half, and we did not show up to play. Actually, it was like the first 10 minutes. It was bad. No one was trying. Norchad ended up getting benched for Watson. And that's not a good basketball team. And that was the one where that was actually the last game Melissa and I attended this year together. And I'd circle that in my head. It's partially my fault. It's like, that's the one where you can get a win. Because we had, in addition to the injuries, we had that stretch of like Duke and Carolina and at Clemson. You kind of knew that's not where you get healthy and win a game when you're struggling. But I was like, Georgia Tech at home, at that time we had a better record than them. It's like, okay, that's the one where you can get a win. And then we played really poor defense the entire game, but we were up at the half and like, all right, can we close? And then just did not show up for the second half. And again, we talked about this on yesterday's show. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it was really important for us to get a win somewhere before coming to the tournament to get some confidence back, and we never did, which is why like last night I think unfolded the way it did as well. And that Georgia Tech, you're playing Georgia Tech at home. That's a game you gotta win at that point in the season. And we had it there, and we didn't try in the second half. And I don't think I just took yours. So.
No, you didn't. I'm gonna go with. I'm trying to remember if this is correct. The second game against Clemson, when Nigel got injured.
Nigel missed that whole game.
The second game against Clemson? I thought he got injured in the second half.
No, he played it injured, and then they.
But he stopped playing, right? Because he only played like 20 something minutes. Am I wrong?
You got the stats open in front of you.
Well, yeah, I was looking at the game scores, but
you're probably right. I'm assuming.
Let me see. Where's minutes? 25. Oh, it doesn't say first and second half.
But that was the one where he shot 0 for whatever because he was injured.
Yeah,
that was right after.
He shot 0 for whatever. Yeah. But do you remember because we talked about it? Like after he went out injured, everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Like because we
actually said that in like the 5 minutes, and we're like, "He's hurt and shouldn't be playing."
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, like that injury in that game, because I feel like we're already trending downward, and then that just kind of added more fuel. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I mean, there was like 6 losses,
and there was a level of desperation at that point. Because even against North Carolina, the first one, I mean, Nigel kept us in the game in the first half.
Yeah, and
then got injured, and we forced him again. We put him back in when we shouldn't have, and he didn't. I think he made like 1 basket in the second half, but he was couldn't even move. And then we played him like you said. I think it was desperation. We played him the next game anyway, and we shouldn't have.
I'm trying to decide what I want to do as my fourth one.
You can honorable mention if there's like 2.
I can't even recap mine.
So I wrote them down. Don't worry.
Yeah, she's writing them down. She's on top of this.
Nice.
Honestly, this is gonna sound really weird, but I'm actually gonna pick a game that we won. So the first game that we played, the first ACC game when we played Notre Dame, and we looked terrible, but we won. And we came on the show after and talked about how, like, at least we got the win, but it was ugly and blah, blah, blah. And it was literally just like a foreshadowing of things to come. Like, we didn't really get to talk about a lot of wins after that. So it's kind of just like a hindsight thing. Like, that game was terrible, even though we won. And now it's kind of pathetic because it's one of the few ACC wins we can talk about. It was either that, or I forget what game it was that Chris Watson kept getting blocked.
I had a similar one that I was going to go with.
That was Notre Dame, right, where we won? Was that you're talking about another win?
No, there was one game where Chris Watson like kept getting blocked.
got
One of them was
blocked,
a
like,
foul
2
that they didn't
possessions in a
call.
row.
I thought that was the Notre Dame win.
Was it Notre Dame or was
I
it?
don't know.
There was the Notre Dame win at Notre Dame was the game where
Or was it against Pitt?
I don't. I just remember
I'm
the
just gonna say the Notre Dame game because even though we got
the Notre Dame game I just remember like that was a game where he missed / got blocked on several times around the row. I think he missed a dunk. Because I remember we won the game, like Melissa said. He's coming up. I remember just like the camera having to catch him coming off the court. He's just shaking his head like after a win.
But yeah, the Notre Dame game,
Yeah.
even though we won, it was ugly, and it was a foreshadowing of things to come.
Yeah, and I will go with. God, I hate to do this to the kid. The first game against Boston College, the first of 3 losses. It was a tight game. It was back in. I think it was a 1 possession game. Maybe we were going to take the lead. Matthew Cleveland airballed consecutive like 4-foot shots in the paint uncovered, and I don't know what happened there. And that just we didn't score again basically that game, and they blew us out in the last like 2 minutes because of that essentially. And that is again when we talk about the tailspin at the end of the season. We not only lost that game, we ended up losing that same team 2 more times, and that was actually like a turning point in their season. If you go back and look at their. And they just won again. They're still playing. We are not. And to be like you point, again, that would have affected seeding, put us on the other side of the bracket, all sorts of stuff, gotten us a win, which we really needed at that point. And like, honestly, you could not drop a better look in twice. Not even close, too. We shot like a 5-foot shot 2 feet. It was like, dude, what the hell's going on here? Twice.
So to recap our choices, Matt chose the UVA game, Colorado, the Cleveland shot versus Wake, and Nigel getting injured versus Clemson. Vish said Kentucky playing Wooga against Stonehill after he'd already gotten injured the first time, the second half of the Georgia Tech game, and the first Boston College game. And then I said Colorado, Louisville, our lack of rebounding late against UNC, and the Notre Dame game.
Could we even? Okay, we're not going to do this now because, frankly, it's been it's 2 hours. It's time. It's time to cue set outros and stuff. But it's a thought exercise for y'all after the show ends. I don't even think I could come up with a Mount Rushmore. Is there 4 things from the season that you go for it to be like that was good?
Norchad getting second team ACC.
Where did Quentin Post end up?
When Ja'Kai dropped that defender against UNC.
Just got to cut it right before they releases the shot, though. And the first Clemson game was
beating Virginia Tech twice.
I mean, the first Clemson game was definitely the high point of the season.
Nigel going off against Kansas State.
Oh, I would put that up there actually.
Yeah.
That one.
I said we don't need to do this now, and then when we're doing it, we're all 3 of us are like, you know what?
Fine. Honestly, that might be my favorite part of the season was Nigel going ham.
Yeah, that's definitely the Nigel. Wait, what'd you say?
I said I wouldn't put the Baja Mar like winning that. I think it's just,
winning
a 14 tournament.
Nigel.
I would definitely put the Nigel.
I mean, it was a 14 tournament where we were the worst team there, so it's a hell of an accomplishment.
At the time, we weren't though.
Looking
back on it now, people that didn't follow us the whole season are like, how the hell did they win that tournament?
I'm gonna say Stonehill because is the only win me and Vish got to see together for the men.
Is that right?
Yep. Every other game that I went to with you, we lost.
I mean, because we lost basically every game. So.
Highlight of all the basketball seasons was seeing the women beat NC State. That was my favorite part of the year, being at that game and us taking down a top 5 team.
Went to Titanic afterwards. That was a good day.
Yeah. Low point is Titanic giving me the wrong salad.
The low point of the season is that?
Well, I'm just joking. As for the women, it's just a joke.
You didn't go to all those women's losses. I mean, I've just seen way too many losses this year because the women lost quite a few games. I was at too. That Georgia Tech overtime game and all. Like I was trying to make my flight out and it went into overtime. That was tough. Anyway, it's been hopefully. I mean, we're still optimistic. The women are dancing on Sunday.
Yeah.
They should be in, but they are on the bubble, so you never know. But should be in. So we'll have obviously buckets. I know Melissa's working Sunday, so I don't know that we're gonna have a reaction. I might do something just talking to camera, I guess, just so we have something talking about the women's bracket. But we'll do a more robust when Melissa's available breakdown. See where the women are going. That'll be next week's show. Whatever works for you, man.
The next 10 I'd be available.
Well, hopefully we're not in a play-in game on Tuesday, but we'll see. Because that as much as like we should be in the field, that is definitely in play. That we're lost for. So, but we'll have women's buckets coverage next week. Either of, I mean, 99. Okay, actually, 99% chance it's women's buckets coverage of the NCAA tournament. 1% chance women's buckets coverage of the home game for the NIT because we'll be like a 1 seed.
Yeah, and then don't forget off-season buckets will include NBA grid. Hoping to get some fun interviews. Hopefully, our horse tournament at some point.
Our Canes tournament.
And then buckets will move to just one night a week once we hit the off season. Because how much can we possibly talk about the portal and
more than you know? But yeah, we'll do a one night a week.
Yeah, but we will. Mount Trashmore and Route Rushmore will be retired until next season, and we will get to,
we joke about her being a dictator, but we clearly voted the other way on that.
We don't have enough time to do all of this. The podcast's going to be 3 hours. Like,
there's like no actual basketball content.
People are going to watch buckets just to talk about like
NBA
our favorite ice cream
basketball
flavors.
content?
Not really. Just naming some dudes.
I
mean, seriously, I don't think we'll do. I think we will do. Okay, so I think there will be Mount Rushmore and Mount Trashmore. It's not going to be retired. We won't necessarily do one every show. It depends on how. There's going to be a lot of shows where we have very little basketball to talk about, so then we will probably break it out. Anyway, more to come on that. As Melissa made an executive decision to completely override our democracy here. And
well, we're not even going to talk about basketball if we just keep doing like both NBA.
You were mistaken when you thought it was a democracy.
I know.
We've already had this.
We're in the heart of democracy, man. Although it is fitting, we're in DC, didn't get the right to vote. It all adds up. All right. Yeah, we don't get to vote here. People should Google that. Ready? That wasn't a joke.
And yes, we are all wearing matching hoodies.
Yeah, which did not come through that. You know what? We look a lot better on the TV than we do down here.
Yeah.
Cue the socks outro.
Don't cry. Keep it chill. Wear good socks.